Good morning, everybody. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Aaron Zellner, and I graduated last year with the class of 2023. So basically, Mr. Haas asked me to come on here and kind of share some of my experiences and give some advice that I have pertaining to the school verse this year, which is 1 Peter 2 verse 9. We're called to proclaim Christ. So basically, whenever I went to college, I knew that it wasn't going to be easy because, I've grown up in this kind of Christian bubble, I guess you could say, where, I've always went to a Christian school and I've always had like a Christian family and Christian friends, and I've always just been surrounded by this Christian aspect. And now that I would go off to college, I wouldn't really have that and it wouldn't be as prevalent anymore. So I also thought, this would be a great time, to proclaim Christ and just kind of, share our religion and just, bring others to faith, or help bring them to faith, I should say. And one experience that I had that really just kind of made me think about, proclaiming Christ. Usually whenever I feel like we think about proclaiming Christ at like the university aspect, we think about the people who stand in like the middle of the campus with their big their megaphones and their signs, and they're just like yelling and screaming out Bible verses and telling people that, they need to come to faith and they need to go to church. And I mean, in the reality, I don't think it's that big or needs to be that in your face, you know what I mean? Because one time I was walking to class and one of the school's like custodians / gardeners was driving like a little four-wheeler, or it was a Ranger. They're driving a Ranger around. I guess he was going to his next place to work in the garden, and he asked me if I wanted to ride to class, and I said sure. And after a little bit of small talk, he said to me, just out of the blue, he goes, this morning I read this Bible verse, and it goes, I can do all things through Christ. And that really just made me think, like, sharing Christ doesn't have to be like some big extravagant thing where you're standing in the middle of campus and you're just yelling out Bible verses and telling people they need to go to church. It can just be something as simple as, like working in a Bible verse into some small talk and some conversation. You could be in an elevator with somebody at college or at school, and you could just look at them and be like, hey, I read this Bible verse, or hey, I like this Bible verse. So it doesn't really need to be like super big and like up in your face. It can just be something subtle and simple as just telling somebody a Bible verse. And I mean, it's not always going to be that easy, but one thing I want everybody to know is that, the friends that you make at Saxony are never going to leave you. I still talk to most of my friends, or all my friends that I had made at Saxony, so they always have that support there with me. You get into this big college atmosphere, and it can maybe seem a little bit like you're surrounded by all these people that don't believe in the same things you do, and like you might be just like stranded there by yourself. But you need to remember that your friends that you made at Saxony are always going to be there, and not just your friends, but also the teachers. I remember the beginning of this semester, I was having some trouble in my calculus class, and I sent Miss B an email, and I was like, hey, Miss B, can you send me the trick sheet that we had? And she like gladly just sent it back to me like within like 30 minutes, and I had it to study. So, one thing I want you guys to take away from this is that being in a college atmosphere, it doesn't have to be like proclaiming Christ, doesn't have to be like a big ordeal where you're just standing in the middle of campus and you're yelling out Bible verses and you're telling people they need to go to church. It can just be something kind of small and subtle, just, hey, like I read this Bible verse, or I really like this Bible verse. And also, I guys want you to take away from this is that your support system that you make at Saxony will always be there for you. All the teachers are going to be there to have your back. I know Mr. Simpson, after the end of the year, he always tells the students, if you have any questions or if you need anybody to talk to, just shoot me an email and we can work it out. And I mean, your friends are the same way. Your friends aren't going to just like, you can text your friends whenever you want to, and they're not just gonna be like, nah, I don't have time. Like they're gonna be able to talk to you and talk you through whatever situation you're going to. So I hope this was helpful, and have a good day. Thank you for your time.